Hey, what's up, outies and innies, and welcome to a Nerdy Bunch weekly review for Apple TV series Severance. My name's Dave, and joining me because podcasting is the only way for him to deal with his childhood trauma, my co-host Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, David?
We're here to talk about episode 8, Sweet, Sweet Betrayal. Talking about childhood trauma. This episode does. This episode highlights someone's childhood trauma. I would say Miss Cobell. We get a bit of a backstory, and one of my favorite things about this episode that even though it's quote unquote a bottleneck episode that stands alone, it reveals a lot about Lumen and its relationship with Harmony Cobell. And I think you'd agree with me that it helps add more dimensions to this character. And now I'm even more interested in who she was and who she could be going forward. Andrew, what did you think, spoiler free?
100%. Yeah, right. Episode definitely dedicated to Harmony. Harmony. Solid episode for pushing the story forward. I had some nitpicks with, I guess, the length of some of the scenes. I'll put it like that. But still a spectacle. This show continues to be a spectacle. There's, they say both the devil and God are in the details. And there's so many details in this episode. It's probably one of those that, looking back on the show when it's done, there will have been more things or more breadcrumbs that will become clear. So I really enjoyed it. And I guess the depth of the information we find out is fantastic in terms of the entire Severance world. Like it's a big reveal, right? So that part I enjoyed. Like I said, some issues kind of more with the pacing of the episode and placement, because this is one episode to finale, right? Am I mistaken?
Yep.
Right?
Penultimate.
This is penultimate. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's why it felt a little bit slow, because you're kind of expecting to be, nearing the pinnacle of the roller coaster, and then it just felt a little bit slow. But by the end, it's still like, whoa. The whoa is in that. Excuse me, the after effect. But all in all, yeah, solid episode, pacing and timing. Question marks ish.
It's one of those episodes, I agree with you. It's a bottleneck episode as a penultimate episode. And it kind of takes away the momentum, especially because last week we had another bottleneck episode with the flashback with Gemma. And where that one made sense where it happened in the timeline of things, I think this one could have happened earlier in the season. It didn't need to happen right now. I don't think it would have changed much because we haven't really seen
an episode after she left. Even
exactly.
She left, one episode, then this would have been like, oh, okay, then something, then Gemma. Not to tell them how to make their show, but I feel like that would have just felt more, because you're right. It literally like stopped me from the eye. It's like, sit down, don't get too excited.
And okay, I understand there's elements, there's parts in the story that they connect at the end that kind of connects to where the story's moving forward. But I think we could have even spread out some of this story throughout
or
the last 3 episodes.
Maybe
right?
Splice it into other episodes and made those ones longer, honestly.
But that being said, it's one of those episodes, I watched it twice, and upon second viewing, you do kind of, once you know what the episode's about, it's slower. You do understand what it's saying to you, because it does say a lot, right? It's like an explosion happening in the distance, right? You heard an explosion, it was subtle, but it didn't hit the impact, and then 5 minutes later the sound wave, shockwave hits you, boom, you're like, oh, okay.
Like, oh wow, okay.
Okay, that was a lot more than I realized. And that's kind of how I felt this episode was, where it did hit you after the fact, because it does move at an interesting pace. And once again, the cinematographers just want to flex and just like, oh, let's give you this beautiful shot and hold it there for like 2 minutes.
Literally. They were milking every shot, like every. That was just one, like I said, one of my gripes. It's like you stretched it out so much. Like fair enough, but come on, speed it up.
I mean, I'll allow it, because I'm sure they get excited because they're always shooting indoors in sterile environments. So this is different. We can shoot somewhere else. Like, ooh, let's go. Anyway, let's go into full spoilers. This gives us a background on Harmony and the town that she was raised in, and we get a little bit of
call it that.
right. And this is a great example of what happens in real world, right? These old towns, especially a lot of places here in America as well.
Especially post-factory towns.
Exactly. These towns were built purely for that factory, and they made these promises that we're going to have wet, blah, blah, but guess what? Things run out.
They poison the water.
And poison the people.
Probably kill the fish, poison everyone, then they leave.
And they bounce. And even though we don't really get what Lumen is doing specifically with ether in this place, I mean, I'm sure there's some medical things they're doing. But what did you feel about seeing Harmony's background in this town and her connections, and the fact that she created the severance procedure to the
Listen,
finest detail too?
Let's go in order because I won't forget that. I won't forget that she created it. So let's park that for now. Because getting to the town, first of all, that dusty ass gross town. Even her, like her whole process. I love how you can. She's out of place, but she's also, you can tell she's from there, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, right? It's more out of place as in, oh, we haven't seen you in a while, not you shouldn't be here. So her whole interaction with man whose name I'll remember in 4 seconds, Hampton, being so cold, yet like what's the word for remembering? Like they had a like warm memory about each other, but such a cold interaction, and that's how we know her as Harmony. So it's almost like nice to see her back where she started. And then Sissy sucks, obviously. Sorry, no offense. Sissy is just a little grumpy grudge. So it's like, you're piecing together things and be like, I see a little bit more as to why you are not, where I would expect you to be, or why you would not be home. Because when she was next to Mark last season, I'm like, come on, this lady doesn't have any family, no, nobody she likes. But now things make a lot more sense. So I enjoyed that. But yeah, the fact that she created this procedure, I feel like, today I'm coming in not all positive. I loved it, but it almost felt, I don't know why it felt like a lackluster reveal in the time. Just like after the fact, like mind blown. And yeah, the level of detail, by the way, wow.
Yeah, it's not like I came up with the idea
no,
for it.
No, it's
someone
like,
else,
no. Which is what I don't get. It's like she I mean, not that, don't get me, I get it, but like, damn, I mean, like, she's Einstein and
Oppenheimer.
Da Vinci and Oppenheimer all in one, right? And it's just like, wait, wow, like all of it all also explains her demeanor in Lumen, and why it's like she believes in the cause, but she doesn't believe in the people driving the cars.
Yeah,
right?
like I should
But
be.
Yeah, exactly. And I figured now her whole plan was just to stay as long as she could until she was probably able to take over. I'm assuming that would be been her long term plan. So, like I said, in hindsight, or after the episode and kind of piecing back together, like, probably one of the best episodes in terms of reveals of what's going on in this show. And probably in a binge, you won't feel the slowness as much, but it just felt like, yeah, I maybe it wasn't meant to be like a knockout, but it was a great reveal, but just like semi lackluster for some reason for me. But still mind blown.
No, I love that reveal because, like you said, it contextualizes a lot about who she is. And her reactions, because even when Helena was like, you misjudge your contribution to this company, and I'm like, actually,
but doesn't this now make Helena sound crazy?
Right? And then, but you also understand Harmony's reaction even more so, because if someone told me that and I'm the one that made it, and you're like, I underestimated my
wait,
value.
do you think Helena knows? Does Helena know?
I don't know if she knows or not. But at the end of the day, it makes sense of Harmony's reaction, because she knows that. What do you mean? What? I overvalue.
Because back then we're like, why is she being like that? Whereas now
Right?
it's like, yeah, it's the Viola Davis meme, right?
Right.
Grab your bag and leave.
It's true, because then it's just like, oh wow, because even when she says like, no, let me be the one that takes over and let me be the one that finishes Cold Harbor. Well, yeah, because she started it. She started
it
all
actually
of these
makes
things.
a lot more sense, and I completely, because you would even expect that. Yes, there's a reason why I'm the best equipped for this.
Yes,
because I'm the creator. Please,
I made this. This is not to merge podcasts. This is a Norman Osborn Otto Octavia situation, right? Where the person that created this stuff is kind of thrown out and blacklisted. But what I like about her is that, because of her initial kind of belief in the cause, she didn't exactly set out to be like, I want the credit. She understood that this is, you make for the company, this is the company's glory, for the glory of Kier. But I think things changed when they tried to like blacklist her and they say like, yeah, you know what? You're not worth to this company. And then she's like, oh,
excuse me.
I think that was the turning point for her.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting with her character, because again, now, because this episode, she's a lot more gray than I realized, because on one hand, there's parts of me that's like, she's fully down for the cause of the religious side of Kier and on what they all do. But on the other side is like, but I think she specifically hates Lumen because of what Lumen's done to the family. Because even her mother stated to have hated Lumen.
Yeah.
Everyone that lives in this town is like, fuck Lumen. I mean, shit, even Hampton is just like, what does he say at the end? Come tame these tempers, assholes. You know, like.
yes.
And then just understanding that they, even when earlier on, because again, he's not blind to the reality of it. When she's like, oh, old colleagues. And he's like, colleagues? What?
Child labor.
Child labor.
Child labor, my dear.
She's like, oh, I haven't done this since I was 8. I was like, what?
Exactly.
8?
But it's like, okay, so it's like Miss Huang is a child worker. I mean, we knew, but we know. It's like, okay,
it's the same kind of thing. But my question to you is she going against Lumen? Is she going to team up with Mark and them?
Mark and or something boys.
But to what? Because again, you know, Ragabi and them want to shut down what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if she wants to shut down, more so take over.
Wants to get rid of those in power.
Right. So where do you think like her allegiances lie? What is her goal?
But I mean, you just said her allegiance for sure, but that doesn't discount her having the option of working with Mark now to get rid of said enemy, and then she can get rid of Mark. You know, so I'd be like, Mark's an easy one. I can deal with him, but I would honestly love to see her and Mark team up, which I'm assuming is what they've been setting up, right? Just tell me everything.
Tell me everything. On a Ragabi sitting there like, mother.
Sitting there, she gone.
She's left.
Ragabi is long gone. And it's even that. So I wonder, because you know, Ragabi says she's a soldier. I wonder who knows this secret. I doubt anybody knows. When I say anybody, I mean like.
Well, Sissy didn't know.
No, for sure.
Because her reaction, I love the reaction. It's like, wow, this is really
like
good.
extravagant, some word like excellent. Which fair enough. I also, I mean, I still don't like her, but I like when people, even when they suck, are like, oh, but you know, game recognized game. It's like, yeah, hey, I see you.
No, but no one else can see this. Burn it.
But anyways, thanks for sharing that.
I thought she was actually gonna fully burn. You know, I was like, oh, no. But then it got saved. But yeah, just in terms of her allegiances, I'm curious.
So I see her and Mark just going against the machine, right? Just because, I mean, why not? But my thing is just, I still don't understand. It's going to be extremely difficult because the Lumen numbers alone are crazy, right? This is just one branch of one area that we see.
But did you see Rogue One?
Yes.
So, you know how the dad who created the Death Star, but in doing so created a failsafe.
Yeah.
I'm just saying maybe she knows a backdoor. Failsafe's gonna kind of connect. You know, she's a creator of it, right? And maybe she puts some kind of access or something, right, that she can do something to disrupt what Lumen is doing.
So that'd be interesting if she you know, I assume with her and Mark's brain and what's going on, like who knows? Yeah, she could make like EMPs or like signal jammers or things to switch people. I feel like there's actually a lot that they could even toy with in that sphere of just being able to create devices that interact with the innies and outies or individuals.
Here's my question to you. We know that she created the severance procedure, detailed schematics, everything. Even
we need to know more, by the way, because they just just dropped the book on me.
Well, that's the thing, and even specific things like the processes that we've seen, like the blocks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But question is
procedures, protocols.
Why?
I'm just like,
why did she create this?
If we're playing the guessing game in her life, because wait, sorry, allow me to ask, was her mom sick at that time?
Yes, because I guess the mom also worked in the town.
Yeah.
And then so everyone because if you live in the town, you work there, right?
You had to more
in the ether mines,
yeah,
things like that. And so so mom got sick from exposure to ether and addicted.
Yeah. I just wonder if there was some connection to that or to her mother.
I mean, maybe, and just thinking out loud, you know, maybe she wanted to create this thing of like work and lifetime, make it separate, because you know
her mom can have the terrible work and come home and just have a happy life with me. Like, don't worry, mom, I'll make your problems go away.
Yes,
you won't even remember it.
But you won't need drugs to do so.
Yeah, no, which is like it's if I don't quote me, any psychologists out there, but like psychology has always experimented with things like, sometimes drilling a hole in your brain or messing with parts of your brain to change your orientation, right? So it's also in line with that, and it's like the ultimate form of a drug, because a drug is to alter brain chemistry or physical, feelings, and this is similar. So that would make sense. That would actually track really well, because that, like, we see it in a lot of stories. One of the strongest driving forces is trying to save a parent or a loved one. And if you have that kind of brain and drawing skill, clearly, which I mean did, I could see that could track.
No, I thought the same thing. I think just something to do with her raising with her mother, but also just something
for
not,
herself. No,
or for herself, right? Because again, not being there because he had to quote unquote work at at the school or whatever. Maybe she thought I could have best of both, where I can have seven myself.
Yeah, so I want to remember the work. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, or something like that. I think we'll find out in some capacity, but I'm not.
Do you think next episode, or do you think they're keeping that until next season?
I would say next season. I don't think we can get that this episode.
We have too much to get through with our regular Brady bunch next episode.
I like the dynamics between her and Hammond. I thought he was. Is it Hammond? Yeah, Hampton. Sorry, Hammond. The other guy's Hammond. Like, I'm mixing Drummond and Hammond and Hampton.
Drummond.
With Hampton. He's an interesting character because, again, he shows us, we've seen different sides of Lumen, right? In terms of how people perceive. One of the things he's talked about is how people perceive the company. All right, you have people who are like, oh, we love this company, they do great, because the company isn't exactly hiding everything. It's hiding things, but doesn't hide everything. Like Severance is a known thing. But we've seen people who love it. We've seen people like Devin and stuff who are like, oh, we don't like it from a moral perspective. But seeing someone who fully worked at this company from a young age and fully detests this company. Shit, he hates Sissy, calls her a pariah because she was like involved in like raising these kids. Even she still doesn't care. She's like, oh, this huff peddler, and then Harmony's like, because you did it to him. Like, what are you doing?
She's like, he still do it though. She's like, did I lie?
What do you think of Hampton and kind of like how he represents, the people of that town, and how people like that are betrayed by companies?
It's great, and it's the general motif for this show, right? Just how the corporates don't care about you. They pretend. We saw Milkshake and Lumen pretending like they cared about Mark and the rest earlier with all the reforms and new flavors in the vending machine. While still torturing these people.
Black versions of Kier.
Black versions of Kier. While you have a lady locked downstairs, locked and going through different, tragic moments, right?
An Asian lady, by the way. Let's just put it out there.
So it's just crazy, but again, it's so accurate, right? It's happened time and time again, especially this whole factory thing. So, Hampton is a nice character to see. It's almost like seeing, the after effects of Lumen's wrath, if that makes sense. And that they don't care. I mean, he should be living a better life, and these people shouldn't be in this type of condition of town for what they did for such a company. But again, it reflects real life. So I mean, I enjoyed him. I think we'll see more of him. This didn't feel like a one and done to me. And I like that the world is starting to grow on the map, right? It's starting to. I think I complained maybe 3 episodes ago about just how we only see the 5 people we know, the 2 Lumen staff, but we started going. We've seen more Lumen employees. We've started to see more of Harmony's life. We've seen more about Gemma's past. So I enjoy. Like I said, I actually really feel like at the end of this show, like a binge of this will be one of the best things you can do, right? Like the experience, since you know it all, and the pacing won't really matter. You will just have the best experience of being like, oh wow, I didn't know this was shown from here at ETC, right? So all in all, solid episode. Pacing and slicing issues aside, but the Hampton thing just helped give a different perspective to life outside of the Indies and Audis that we know, and Dylan.
And what I like as well, this show does we've all talked about the cinematography of this show. What I like is this episode specifically tells a great story through the cinematography, right? Because I think the way they capture the town of Salt's Neck, they capture it so well, because you get in these shots a beautiful visual of the nature environment, like the ocean coastline or everything like that, looking beautiful, destroyed by the decapitated buildings and structures. You could tell like there was a potential for this town at one point. It was bustling, there was full of people and things like that. There was energy, there was a life to it. Now it's just gray. And because even from the visuals, the opening scene, it's not just a broken town. You can tell it's a town that was once something.
Yeah.
Right. There's just every shot can tell like there was something and there's a
something
tragedy.
Was here, something or things were here.
Things were here, and then it just kind of all faded away, and these are just the remnants of it all. And people just kind of just staying there, doing whatever they can, and just until they kind of fade away. It was just
to get by.
You understand that just from the visuals. You didn't need a lot of exposition to tell you the aspect, the specifics of it. Right? It could have been a coal town. It could have been, the ether aspect just adds the sadness because the work they were doing is also turning them into addicts. Even Hampton is selling vials of ether to customers, right? It's just still kind of sad, right? Because you can't get away from it.
It's true. It just shows you like the level of toxicity, right? Because you're right. It's not just like poison your lungs, poison your lungs and keep you addicted on the poisoning of
exactly,
lungs and and the jus. And somehow be making your livelihood off it. So it's like, wait, what?
It's just this vicious cycle. Are there any moments that you like that we haven't talked about? Any small moments or anything?
Kier and Imogen, they met at that little factory, right? Is this story true? I can't keep up with what is truth in this world sometimes.
It's funny you say that because even with the story of a couple of episodes ago, we had the story of the unknown brother, Dieter Egan, and he was blah, 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 blah. And he was cast out and everything like that. I was thinking, like, what if that story was just Kier Egan high on ether and and he was just, it was almost like casting out, it was a metaphor for casting out an aspect of him. Maybe that was using the ether. Maybe ether, the kind of, again, I've never had ether, so I couldn't tell you the experience, but maybe the ether, the outer bodiness experience of ether, kind of, or the severed nature of
separates
ether.
like interesting. It gives that separate but internal joint nature.
So maybe that's what created, kind of inspired all this kind of stuff.
Concept of.
But I agree with you. I think maybe some stories are not what we thought because people were high on ether the whole time.
I could actually see that. I would find that funny also. It's just like, no, that's how bad it was, y'all. Right. People out here tripping, let me tell you.
I loved when Harmony asks Hampton for a ride to Stacey's house, but she has to hide because she can't be seen. And he's like, all right, cool. In the back of the truck. She's just sitting there under the covers. It's just a situation you never expect to see Harmony in.
See her of all people, yeah.
Right.
But it's the humility. Right. Not really, but kind of. She needs it.
Anything else?
Her little action scene. I appreciate. Let's get some love. Such an awkward case. It almost like they almost just put their faces to each other, but it felt appropriate for their characters, right?
It did.
It didn't feel out of place somehow.
But also, it told you, it was great exposition to tell you that they have deep history from when they were kids, right?
Yeah.
From 8 years old, which is funny because like the last time I did it was when I was 8, not the first time. The last time. I was like, Dad, when did you start?
Right.
I love the moment when she does talk about when she reveals that she created it.
Yeah.
When she's shouting at Sissy, when Sissy was like talk about fealty. She's like, fealty, it's mine. Like that, kind of like her frustrations are like, this was all mine. This was my shit, not yours. Like I love that. And again, I think her protest of mine isn't necessarily for recognition. It's more a reaction to everyone saying that you did do anything. Like kind of like you're ungrateful. You should be, you should be having fealty. You should be blah, blah. Like what do you mean? There's nobody that loves this more than me. I created this.
Like, come on, man.
So don't even try and call me that I am not, I don't care and I'm not committed. I was the most committed.
I am the carer. Like,
when she says, Harmony, I hope you die as painful as she did.
Whoa.
Well, she killed herself. I was like, damn.
It's just like, yeah, you see why she's so vicious, because
all right.
it's just not.
All right. And again, you like you said, you fully understand where she's coming from. This has been her
100%.
life. I can see why she's kind of a bit broken or very broken.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, I still think it's interesting that her story isn't this redemption, is that she wants her way. It's not like she's a good person now. Because I still think she's still very much drinking the juice of Kier.
Yeah.
I feel like for her there's a separation between Lumen and Kier.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like Kier existed before Lumen.
Yeah.
And she, I don't know how when Lumen started, but maybe Lumen didn't exist when she was 8 and she was fully in the Kier juice of things. Right.
I definitely see that, because she still had her altar in her house, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Exactly.
If she didn't like him, she wouldn't have done that in her home. She didn't have to, right?
No.
And the anger when she broke everything is somebody you have to care that much to do that somehow. So it definitely explains that. I agree. Somehow her love for them is also severed.
I like how you did that. I like what you did there.
Thank you.
On that note, find us on social media at The Nerdie Bunch. You can check out some of our other podcasts as well. We are currently doing, what are we doing? Invincible. That's
Daredevil.
Daredevil just started. Invincible is about to end. We finished Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. That was really good. Check that out, seriously. No, seriously. Check it out. It's really good. Upcoming, we have a bunch of movies coming out, new shows. I think Andor's coming soon. Super excited for it.
Very excited.
Did you watch Devil May Cry? I haven't watched it yet. I have to check that out.
That's trashy. Is it out?
I have no idea. I know it's coming out soon. It could have been out already. Is it soon? I don't know. But that's another thing. I didn't watch Castlevania Season 2. I have to watch that as well. Anyway, thank you, Andrew.
And thank you, David.
My name's English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review for Severance Season 2, Episode 8. And as always, Andrew,
keep it nerdy.
Peace.